news and sports music. Television and radio show themes.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Strategy Hacker live stream. I'm Shelly Palmer, and it is Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern here in New York City. It's about 9,000 degrees outside. Wow, what a day. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here. We are having a heat wave. It's a one-day heat wave, but it's a heat wave nonetheless. I'd love to know if everybody can hear me okay. That's important to me. Also, if you're on chat, please, let's hear from you. I want to know your name. I want to know where you are right now. And of course, you can ask me any questions you might want to ask. Certainly, please put a little bit about yourself, maybe one line. Welcome, Dustin. Welcome, Joey. One line about what you do so others in the chat can learn about what you do and talk with you as well as talk to me. Again, I'm here to answer all of your questions today. It's office hours, and so we can not only talk about the things I want to talk about, but we can talk about the things that you want to talk about today. Hey there, Justin, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We are live again on not only YouTube Live, but we're also live on We're also live, I think, let me just check. Yes, we're live on LinkedIn Live. Welcome, LinkedIn Live. We're also awake on whatever Twitter is doing. Hey, David Charmants, how are you? Whatever Twitter's doing, we seem to be live there. That's what the dashboard says. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook too. Okay, everybody. So we've got a bunch of different things going on today. Very happy to have you all here. Again, please let us know where you are, what you're doing. Hello, Steve Catola. How are you? And of course, where you are. I know that you're in Toronto. We have a kind of a funny story about Canada today, Steve Catola. You'll think it's kind of funny. Hey there, Ken Weissman from New York. Glad you're here. Welcome, everybody. Before we get started today, there's a little sad news that just came over the internet, but I think it's really important that we talk about it. Michael Collins, 90 years old. He was the pilot of Apollo 11. And if you remember, he didn't get to go to the moon when Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong got to go to the moon. He got to pilot the command module around the moon. Apparently, he was going through a long checklist and getting ready for them to come back. Someone had to stay with the vehicle, and he was the one who drew, I guess, the short straw. But such an important astronaut. The three of them, really, Michael Collins and Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, just amazing human beings, took risks that I don't know that any of us would willingly take the way they willingly took it, fought to take. So inspirational, these guys. And I have to say that I was always a fan of the whole rush to space. I didn't understand it as a kid, but I do remember my freeze-dried ice cream, and I do remember my Tang. And I absolutely still have I have my Fisher Space Pen. Let's see if I can show this to you. This is my Fisher Space Pen. It writes upside down. It writes inside out. This one's engraved. It's a replica of the original one that I had when I was a kid. I wrote a story where I referenced the Fisher Space Pen. Believe it or not, the Fisher Space Pen people are still in the space pen business, and they're still doing them. And so they sent me one with my name on it. It was so cool. I was so happy to have it, and I am happy to have it. There's a funny story about the Fisher Space Pen, which is not true. It's apocryphal, but it's not true. And the story goes that we spent, millions of dollars inventing the space pen, and the Russians sent everybody up with a pencil. But that's not exactly what happened. Welcome, everyone. Kathy Aronson, welcome. And Steve Catola, again, welcome. And Jeff and Jonathan, welcome. Wherever you are, please tell us what the weather's like, where you are, what you're doing. Ask me any questions you want to ask. Joey is standing by to put them in chat, and I'll be able to put them up on the screen so we can talk about them. It's again, an Ask Me Anything day. So we want to definitely ask me anything. First story up today is a story I think everybody is going to care about. The CDC released new guidelines. Now, I've got the science here in front of me. I really got yelled at today because I basically asked everyone to follow the science, and people were questioning what the science is. Now, it's interesting. I actually wrote it, printed it out. Interim public health recommendations for fully vaccinated people are the new guidelines that just came out. And basically, the bullets are: visit with other fully vaccinated people indoors without wearing masks or physical distancing. That's a kind of a big switch. So that's interesting to me. Visit with unvaccinated people, including children from a single household who are at low risk for severe COVID-19 disease, indoors without wearing masks or physical distancing. I don't know what a single household means. Does it mean your single household? I'm actually not sure. Then here it says participate in outdoor activities and recreation without a mask, except in certain crowded settings and venues. But they don't articulate what a crowded setting and venue is. And then resume domestic travel and refrain from testing before or after travel, or self-quarantine after travel. That's clear. Refrain from testing before leaving the United States for international travel unless required by the destination, and you don't have to quarantine when you get back. Refrain from testing following a known exposure if asymptomatic, with some exceptions for specific settings. I don't know what those specific settings are. Refrain from quarantine following known exposure if asymptomatic. Refrain from routine screening, testing if asymptomatic and feasible. Now, here's what you have to still do. According to the CDC, you should take precautions in indoor public settings like wearing a well-fitted mask. Okay. Wear well-fitted masks when visiting indoors with unvaccinated people who are at increased risk for severe COVID-19 disease or who have an unvaccinated household member who is at increased risk for severe COVID-19 disease. Wear well-fitted masks when visiting indoors with unvaccinated people from multiple households. Avoid indoor large-sized in-person gatherings. Get tested if experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. Duh. Follow guidance issued by individual employers, well, of course, and follow CDC and Health Department travel requirements and recommendations. Okay, folks, that is the new guidance from the CDC. That was the big mask story today. Yeah. Hello, Carrie from Palm Springs, and hello, Elliot from sunny Miami, and Elizabeth Fox, welcome from Northern California. Again, everybody, chat's where it's at, please. I don't think the Facebook and the LinkedIn and Twitch and Twitter people can see the YouTube live chat, but I think you can see each other's chats. Bright and sunny, 75 degrees out on Long Island. Glenn Holcomb, Central Florida. Glad to see you here too. Rhonda from Houston, Texas. And Toulouse, France. Gail, welcome. Horace, welcome. This is fantastic. I love the LinkedIn crowd. The LinkedIn crowd is from all over everywhere. It's magnificent. What a great group. So let's get deep into kind of a silly story. I told you, Steve Catola in Toronto, we had a funny story about Canada today. Apparently, some beavers, not necessarily this beaver, but beavers ate the internet in Canada. And I'm going to read this too. This is really fun. About 900 internet users in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, lost service for 36 hours when beavers chewed through an underground fiber cable, and they made a beaver dam out of it. Here's the beaver dam they made. You could see the parts of the cable. There's a 4.5-inch thick conduit around this cable, and the beavers not only ate through it, but they took the parts and they used it. Part of me thinks this is awesome. Part of me was heartbroken. It reminds me in a weird way of like when you see the turtles with the six-pack stuff around their neck. It's like, why are we invading their environment like this? And they're forced to use internet cable to make their beaver dams with. I mean, poor little beavers. Except my Canadian friends told me that they're not poor little beavers. They have massive teeth that can cut through anything, and they're actually rodents. But I think they're cute. Here's something that made me think of, though. You may be wondering what this is. Yes, among your American friends, Steve Catola, you will never live that down. If you don't know what this map is, this map should give you pause, because the beavers who inadvertently severed the internet cable that was happening up in Canada, in British Columbia, these are the published, and there are, all you need to do is go online and Google submarine internet cables. And these are not internet cables on submarines. These are the submarine internet cables. The maps are everywhere. They're in shipping lanes. In fact, they are called out in shipping lanes specifically, so that when you are in a shipping lane, you will not run your very large boat over them and sever the cables. So here's a beaver just cutting internet cables in Canada because it was trying to make its beaver dam. What if like bad guys want to just sever the internet? That doesn't seem like it's a very hard thing to do, you know, if you're the bad guys. And considering all this stuff is published, it's wacky, just totally wacky. I am, well, I'm really surprised that these maps are out there. I'm surprised that we don't have more issues than we have had with internet. We had a really bad outage here just a few weeks ago. Verizon, somebody just cut a cable by accident in the street. So we're getting a little single threaded through this stuff. And with the amount of bandwidth we're using, I'm not sure that wireless takes care of all of it. Welcome, Robert, from the Central Park Zoo. We're glad to have you here. Noel, welcome. 2 Degrees with Shelly Palmer. I'm glad to have you here. And I'm glad you're in the Bay Area and it's clear skies and no wind. Again, everybody, feel free. If you are in and around your email and you feel like sending me an email message, this is where you do it. You do it at shellypalmer.com. I'm happy to take your emails at any time. And in the show description, there are a bunch of links to things that you can do, and I'd be happy to have you do them. We'll talk a little bit about what's down there, but if you see some stuff that's fun, please. Now, I want to talk today, in as much as you can stand it, about a couple of things that I think are really interesting. First and foremost, Google Flock. Now, the cookie apocalypse is minutes away. For those of you who are unaware of cookie apocalypse is going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen when Google decides that third-party cookies are no longer going to be allowed. Your Chrome browser is going to you're going to feel it. So that's going to hurt some level of advertising. It's going to make retargeting a little tougher. It's not going to impact first-party data at all. If you have a relationship with your consumer online, in fact, across the board, nothing we're going to talk about today has much to do at all with first-party data. If you have a one-to-one relationship with any website, with any organization, with any publisher, you pay a subscription, you visit that website, you drop a cookie on that website, or they drop a cookie on your in your computer from their website. There's nothing anyone can do about it. It's first party. It's all first party. That's not what we're talking about. We're really talking about third party today. For those of you who don't know, first party data is your data, the data that you collect. Second party data is somebody else's first party data that they collect, so that, I have data that I collect. Thomas Herman just says hi from New Canaan. So Tom decides he's going to collect data, and now we're going to make a deal and we're going to share that data. We're both sharing first party data. That's first and second party data. Third party data is that stuff that gets collected from the universe. And you've all experienced the downside of third party data if you've received warranty cards in the mail from like a direct mail campaign for a car that you haven't had in 4 years. Or if someone wants to renew your appliance warranty and you haven't had that appliance for 3 years, it's because the data's stale and no one's dealt with it. So we're really talking about third-party data, the aggregated data that people collect in the outside world. Now, cookie apocalypse would be a bad thing if they hadn't come up with a replacement. And I think we've talked about this replacement in our salons. It's Google's Flock, federated learning of cohorts. Federated learning of cohorts. What is a federated learning of cohort? Well, right now, if you're a data scientist, what you do is you collect data and you cluster and classify that data. Basically, you transform, you learn, and you predict. Those are the three things you do with data. So you transform the data into some format that you can work with it in. You learn as much as you can from the data, and then you make some predictions, whether you're going to optimize or whether you're going to simulate the future, one way or the other. Transform, learn, predict. But you do the math, and you do the science, and you decide how you're going to train the models, whether they're supervised or unsupervised, whether it's pure machine learning or there's some kind of artificial intelligence algorithm or model that you're putting together. It's up to you. You're the data scientist. But here, Google is saying, we don't want to put all that data out in the world anymore. What we're going to do instead, we're going to do it on your device. So your preferences and your behaviors never leave your device. We're going to cluster and classify you locally, and we're only going to make those clusters and classifications available for advertisers to deal with. The only people who don't hate this passionately, truly, truly hate it, are people who work at Google. Everybody else just thinks it's the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of the world. So that wouldn't be bad enough. It would be it's going to happen soon. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but it's been threatened every week for forever. Hello from Nigeria. Uzma, welcome. I'm glad you're here. but it would be bad enough. But craziness is happening. And before we talk about the craziness, may I please tell you about our new podcast? I'm honored to be doing a podcast weekly with my very good friend, Seth Everett. And Seth and I do Tech Stream with Shelly Palmer and Seth Everett. Really, it should probably be Tech Stream with Seth Everett and Shelly Palmer, but I just got top billing. I don't deserve it. He's amazing. The podcast is really fun. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on Amazon. I would be grateful, very, very grateful if you'd give it a listen. We've only had 13 reviews, but they're all 5-star. Some of them are from some of you, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And if you could go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a nice review, that would be great, because Apple takes that stuff very seriously. I do too. I just know for a fact that you're never as good as your supporters say you are, and you're never as bad as your critics say you are. But we'd appreciate the 5-star reviews if you could do it. All right, moving on. And Apple Podcasts is, I think, the only place you really leave those. But you can get it on Spotify, and you can get it on Amazon and a few other places where the Google Play Store, or the Google Podcast, I think they call it now. So have a listen and let me know what you think. I'd be very, very anxious to hear what you think. And to that end, feel free to send me an email. You all know how to do that. All right, let's get to the crazy part. Yesterday, iOS 14.5 went wide, big and wide. iOS 14.5 has a unique attribute. And what is the unique attribute of iOS 14.5? ATT, App Tracking Transparency, brought to you by our good friends at the Fruit Company. Apple has been threatening this for a while. Their whole brand is about privacy, and this is a massive privacy play from Apple. Facebook has had its knickers in a knot over this from the moment it was announced, and for all kinds of reasons, not the least of which is that now, aside from all the cool things you can do in iOS 14.5 that are just normal, it's got some new emojis, it's got some security updates. It has opt-in permission for anyone to share your data third party with anybody. Wow. Okay. So every time you do something, and an app would ordinarily collect data and then track you as you go around the web, you have to give them permission. The way that's been done in an iPhone is a thing called IDFA, Identity for Advertisers. Identifiers for Advertisers is, I think, what the initialism stands for, IDFA. And it enabled an anonymous tracking, a little bit of tracking software, to follow you around the web and know what you did and understand what device you're on, browsers. Let's just literally surveil you. It's pure surveillance capitalism. It may be evil, but it's anonymous. And it really never bothered anybody because it is anonymous. Facebook uses it to drive their off-property advertising business. And it's a big deal for Facebook because this is going to cost them. Now, only about 10% of Facebook revenue comes from non-Facebook properties, but it's still a massive number. And I think their audience network, the Facebook audience network, which is the sort of conglomerate of things you can buy that aren't on Facebook specifically, I think the estimates they have are like maybe a 50% hit to that business. And again, that's not a massive piece of business for them, they'll tell you. And they also want you to believe that small businesses will be hurt by this because small businesses would want to track you as you go around the internet. I don't know how many small businesses really track you as you go around the internet, but I do know that Facebook does, and I know their audience network does require them to have IDFA in order for them to function. So it's going to be a big number for Facebook. I mean, so for you or me or anybody listening, if we took a hit like this, we'd know it. So they've been very vocal about it. Apple could care less. Apple's going to use it all for themselves, and this is, I think, selfishness shrouded in altruism, because Apple's it's a little hypocritical. They're going to advertise to you just as well. They're just cutting everybody else out. And they're entitled to do that. One of the things about iPhones and iOS and iPad OS, they're both at 14.5 now, and they both have the same feature set. One of the things that's interesting is that people who can afford $1,500 iPhones are generally people you'd want to advertise to. You think about it for a minute. They kind of self-select into a group, right? I mean, that's a group of moneyed people. They all have money. They all are carrying a fashion accessory that says they have money. It's sort of where their head is. So, oh, Tom, what a great question. Tom Herman asks, why didn't Facebook stock take a hit? I'm not a financial professional, and this is not financial advice, and it's going to be worth the price you're all paying for it right now. My suspicion is that this has been well understood since the announcement of the iOS 14 SDK from Apple, and it's already priced into the market. I can't imagine anybody not knowing this was coming who invests, and I already have made their adjustments while they could make them. That's my guess. The price didn't move. I saw that, but very often when something is long time coming, people have short memories. They don't think about it. But in this case, I think it was priced in, and I could be dead wrong. I mean, tomorrow, Facebook could wake up and it could be 10% off, but I don't think that's going to happen. By the way, it's still, all in all, with all the craziness, it's still one of the very, very best places you can advertise. You have to understand how you use Facebook when you advertise. And the way you do that is you have to know your audience. But if you're trying to do some transactional business where you want to go direct to consumer and you want your message to land, right person, right place, right time, right message, and you are buying against the classifications and the propensities that Facebook surfaces for you, if you're on Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram and you're buying ads, they are going to be about as effective. The only thing I'm aware of that's equal to it in its ability to combine an emotional advertisement with a transactional advertisement, the only thing that's close would be when Amazon does these special little zones where they play videos for you, but you have to click the play. Here you're scrolling. So you're in a mood, you're scrolling mindlessly, and something that's semi-related to something Facebook's advertisers figured out will interest you and will be relevant to you, gets surfaced in front of you. You have a pretty high chance of clicking it. Remember, Google, you don't intend to go to Google. You intend to go somewhere else. So they're translating the version of your the currency of your intention into wealth. Facebook is taking your aspiration and your hopes and your dreams and turning it into wealth, because you present on Facebook by face bragging. You present on Facebook. If there's no picture on Facebook or Instagram, it didn't happen. So everybody's putting their best foot forward on Facebook. So you're putting yourself out there. And Amazon, they're just turning your very specific purchase patterns into wealth. Netflix turns your passions into wealth in the form of subscriptions. Each of these organizations uses the data to keep you engaged in their own way. Facebook is transactional, and it is one of the most powerful transaction engines you're likely to come across. Full disclosure, they do support us in our innovation series summits, and they've been good clients over the years. But Google has too, for that matter. So is Samsung. I mean, we look at the logo wall. We got a lot of clients that are big tech clients. This is just my personal opinion about Facebook. If I was going to buy an ad for something right now, the three places you look with your digital dollars, or in no particular order, because it really depends what you're trying to sell and what you're trying to accomplish with your campaign. But if you're doing transactional business, you really have three places to put your digital dollar: Facebook, Amazon, because Amazon is where people are now starting to search for things directly as opposed to going to Google. Google's feeling it. They're picking up a solid 10-15% of the ad business, and they're taking it from Google more than they are from Facebook. So it's Google, Facebook, and Amazon are the three places you're going to put your digital dollars if you want them to work for you transactionally and you want to have a good data set to work with from an attribution standpoint. And that's why this IDFA deletion, where Apple has just crippled Facebook. It's all about attribution. I'm a business person. I want to know if I'm on Facebook, me, the consumer, and I click on I click on an ad and I look at it, but I don't transact. I'm just looking at it. I engage with it. The algorithm picks up the engagement. Then I go to Google a day later and I'm like, what was that thing I saw on Facebook? And I Google it. I don't do anything there either. I go to visit a couple sites. And then I find a retail site and I buy it. How does the advertiser attribute that journey, that path to purchase to the Facebook ad they bought? The answer, or even if it's more direct, say that you wouldn't even go that far down the path to purchase, that you'd be more funnel oriented and that you just were going to say, okay, look, I'm going to put an ad on Facebook and someone's going to go off Facebook and they're going to buy it because they decided not to click on Facebook. Did they buy it? And was the Facebook ad the last thing or one of the last things they saw? And if so, what percentage of the attribution would they get? There are a million attribution models. And I want to make this a masterclass and or even a 101 on attribution modeling. But it is job one for almost every department, advertising, marketing, Marcom, CMO, like however you slice it and dice it in the corporations that we work for, somebody is in charge of attribution modeling all day, all night, trying to figure out what is the most efficacious way to spend the ad dollars. And I feel like this is it's definitely, it's a hit for Facebook. Like they're going to feel it. And it's possible that it can be a hit for the rest of us. The rest of businesses. I don't know. I don't know that small businesses deal with data well enough yet for it to actually be a big issue, but it will be an issue. I mean, I can't imagine it not being an issue across the board. And Apple, as I said this morning in my TikTok video, yes, I'm still making TikTok videos because I like to do that. Apple just put a giant force field around people who have Apple devices. And it's going to take a minute to break through it. It really is. Speaking of TikTok, I am Shelly Palmer 5 on TikTok. If you're a TikTok person, please, that'll be super fun. And I would ask you if you all wouldn't mind right now. I see there's a bunch of you on LinkedIn and I see there's a bunch of you on YouTube Live. If you would do me the favor, the monstrous favor, and I know it's a big ask. I don't care what social media you use. This is my Twitter handle, @Shelly Palmer. We just don't get enough people tweeting and doing stuff. So if you would just please take a second, and I don't even care if you say something nasty like, Shelly's an idiot. That's okay too. But I would love it if you would just tweet something about today's live stream, if it's meaningful to you in any way. Or if you're on LinkedIn, maybe just do a social post on LinkedIn or on Facebook, just a social post. If you're a Twitter person, on Twitter, that would be really nice because I'm not feeling the love. I know everybody comes back every week, but we just never get enough buzz from the attendees. And so we're not really growing the audience. We've got a great set of regulars, and I'm very grateful that you're all here. But I would really like it if each of you would use your own network and be the influencer that I know you are. And please go on out there. And if you don't have a Twitter account, which is completely fine, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment in YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, leave a comment in Facebook and or do a post. You can shoot a picture of the screen with your smartphone, do a post on Facebook. Hey, I was watching this thing. It's cool. And you can throw the link. If you want to throw a link in there, the link can go to the website. The link can go to shellypalmer.com. I don't mean to be a shameless shill. YouTubers, you can subscribe and like the stream. I'd appreciate that too. But we're just thinking long and hard about how we grow our audience. And part of that is getting you guys motivated to do some fun stuff. So anyway. All right, let's go back to taking your questions because there have been a lot of good questions here. From Noel McMichael, do you think we will see a sharp rise in addressable media CPMs due to the new scarcity, i.e. Facebook, and that might actually be bad for small, large businesses? Now it's an interesting question. I don't think we're going to have any scarcity in digital media, and especially not in brand safe digital media. Remember, this is the year that Peacock and Paramount Plus and any number, Discovery Plus, any number of advertiser-supported streaming networks have come online. And so there is going to be brand safe digital media available. It's got to be a race to the bottom. You've got the local TV station owners like Nexstar and Sinclair. They've got their own digital properties. They're selling local digital advertising, which would compete directly with Facebook. You've got in a local business. You've got the national networks selling a ton, and it's brand safe. And so where you've got YouTube getting yelled at a little bit for hate speech and not separating that out, and you've got Facebook, of course, content adjacency issues, Twitter, content adjacency issues. There's none of that from the networks. So I actually feel we're about to see a giant glut of programmatic, highly targeted advertising. There's almost no way to control the supply. You could control the supply on the front page of. No, you can't control the supply. I'm lying. There's no, I mean, you're just not controlling the supply of digital inventory. There's just enough of it for everybody. Whoever comes is going to, if you don't have a big audience, I guess you can control your sample size. But if you got an audience of any size worth a damn, you're going to go. So yeah, I think that's problematic. I really do. Let's see. We have another couple questions here. Oh, you liked my TikTok this morning. Thank you so much from Southern California. I really appreciate that. Has the price has done nothing to gone up since day one? Yeah. I'm just looking at all these wonderful comments here. Yeah. So anyway, I from an advertiser perspective, and I'm juggling the LinkedIn and the LinkedIn Live and the YouTube Live comment thread. So I apologize for going back and forth here. But yeah, I don't see that we're gonna have any scarcity when it comes to digital media. And I also don't see that the price is going to get crazy. Where the price gets crazy on Google, it's because people in a geo-fenced area are working really hard to get your attention for the same thing. If you you geo-fence down to Manhattan and you buy chiropractor as a keyword, you're going to spend money, real money. Because there's just that's a supply and demand issue, and there is, it's not scarcity, it's just price, right? I mean, people it just gets crazy expensive. So in that way, you will see, but that has been going on literally from day one, right? Since it's just, and Facebook is supply and demand. You pay the lowest price. Facebook has more supply. The way they sell, they have more supply than Google does, because you're all trying to get to the top of a search page in Google. Facebook has the ability to surface something for you when you show up. So that's a little different. I do want to talk about, if we could, just for a second, I want to, let's see if we can bring this back. Yeah. We do these salons. I know you so many of you are graced us and have honored us with your presence and participation. On Mondays, we do Education.tech at 11:05. It's a great place to meet someone, learn a little, teach a little, meet some amazing people. We have amazing people that come to these. Education.tech is on Monday. On Tuesday, there's Leading Edge Tech, one of my favorites. I missed it this week. I apologize to everybody. On Wednesday mornings, Alexis Palmer Zinberg, my daughter, leads the most interesting of all, which is our Women Championing Women Salon, 11:05 to 11:30 on Wednesdays. It's a leadership forum. She brings in guest moderators for the breakout rooms, and they just do an incredible job. I've had such amazing feedback from this. Proud dad moment, but also an extraordinary experience for those who've been there, and you are welcome to come. You don't apparently need to be a woman to show up at Women Championing Women, but the subject matter is focused on leadership and geared towards the leadership problems and solutions that women tend to have in the workplace. And the feedback, like I said, has been spectacular. On Thursdays, tomorrow, 11:05, 11:30, we do technology, media, and marketing, which is just the center of our universe. It's what we mostly do at the Palmer Group. So technology, media, marketing is our thing. And that's the biggest by far of the events. So I want to talk now, if I kind of switch gears. As you know, the crypto thing has been out of control. The buzz has been crazy. We've seen cryptocurrency fluctuate pretty dramatically over the last 5-7 days. And it had been incredibly high. It stabilized, it's gone up, it's gone down, which is, by the way, what it's going to do every day. But I'm very interested in taking you through something very specific about the entire decentralized world. And I want to talk to you about it now. This happened earlier in the week, and it made me write a blog post called How Dangerous is Crypto? Now, the story is a really straight up story. It's a tale we've heard before. It happened in Turkey. There's a crypto exchange, a centralized exchange, and that's going to become important to this story in a minute, called Thodex. And the principal there, the CEO, is a guy named Farouk Ozer, and he took off. He split and went to Albania with $2 billion worth of funds from the exchange. They know where he is. They'll probably catch him. They're never going to find the crypto. Why? Well, first of all, how did this happen? And wait, isn't crypto safe? And isn't it anonymous? And how does it all work? And what went down? And like, how is this even possible? We got to talk about it, and we got to talk about it at length. And I got to see if I can find yeah, I can. Okay. We're going to talk about it at length. The people in Turkey have cryptocurrency, and they use it the way we use fiat currency in Turkey. Why? Because Turkish lira are experiencing inflation at a level that has driven the constituents and the population and the people who live in Turkey to find that cryptocurrency is better for them, whatever their reasons are. And so not everyone is holding their crypto in their own private wallets. They're holding their crypto in the wallet that's tied to the exchange because they need to transfer back and forth or exchange back and forth the fiat currency, Turkish lira, for whatever cryptocurrency they're holding, because they can't spend the cryptocurrency per se. They can in some places, I'm sure, but generally at some point, everyone needs to exchange their tokens, their cryptocurrency, for fiat currency so they can spend it, where fiat currency is only accepted. If they had taken the vast majority of their funds and they had put them in hardware wallets or private wallets, there's no way to steal it. Can't steal this, it's here. The only way to get the cryptocurrency off of this wallet is what they call the $5 wrench methodology. That is, you take a $5 pipe wrench, you threaten to hit me in the head with it. Maybe you hit me once and get me to tell you what the password is. I'm not going to tell you what the password is. And so I got a bunch of these, and the vast majority of the crypto I own are on these. Now, these are relatively safe. Can they be hacked? Everything can be hacked. This is a 24-word sequence that's private. You need to know it in order to get into this wallet. If you don't have the PIN code or the password, you can set a pretty long password if you're so inclined. You can replicate this wallet. You can rebuild it if you lose it or if someone rolls a truck over it. If you smash it with a hammer, you can rebuild it if you have those 24 words in the right sequence. If you don't, it's lost forever. So this is not something you can be cavalier about, but it's better than writing it down, your stuff down on a piece of paper and putting it somewhere where it might get lost or burnt, or that's a hardware wallet. There are off-exchange software wallets. Great place to put your currency, as long as it's a good, secure wallet from a trusted source, and you know that the wallet is the right wallet, and you know that it is safe. Then that's a great place to keep your cryptocurrency. So we've done a thing. We've done a thing that you could find at shellypalmer.com. This is going to look a little messy, but I'll put this up here. If you go to shellypalmer.com, there's an article this past Sunday, Understanding the World of Crypto, NFTs, dApps, DeFi, DEX, and Blockchain. And there I have a set of resources. I only show a few wallets. I'm not recommending any of them per se. I'm not telling you which ones to get. I'm telling you to do your research. But I do have a bunch of things there that you can look at. And most of the stuff that we've put there are things that I feel are reputable. What I want to talk about now, what's important to me to talk about, is what happened in Turkey in the context of a centralized exchange. Cryptocurrency, by definition, what it is a decentralized fungible token, meaning that your Bitcoin and my Bitcoin can be exchanged for each other. They are worth exactly the same thing on the same day. It's a fungible currency, like a fiat currency, like a dollar or a lira in Turkey or a euro. It's a fungible currency. But the key selling point of crypto was decentralization. This idea that the records of the owner of the currency are kept on a blockchain, or what known as a distributed ledger. And this distributed ledger is replicated, but its distribution, it's replicated peer-to-peer in hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of nodes, depending. In Bitcoin, there's a proof of work, which is a mathematical puzzle that must be solved every time a block gets written. It ensures that whatever's written is written everywhere. It doesn't ensure the truth, but it ensures that whatever's written on the blockchain is written everywhere. And it makes the cryptocurrency forever. You'd have to kill all of the nodes. Every server would have to go away for the cryptocurrency to go away. And it's not going to happen. So it's distributed or decentralized. In order for you to exchange your cryptocurrency for a fiat currency, meaning a US dollar, a Turkish lira, a euro, any currency from a central bank, you need to go to an exchange that is licensed to do that work, regulated to do that work. Not all the exchanges are regulated the same way. There are guidelines. They're not all strict regulations. It is a murky, crazy world. And depending on the jurisdiction where you are, it may be completely unregulated. The only thing these centralized exchanges have in common is that they are centralized exchanges. I want you to think very deeply about the problem with that statement. You're in a distributed, decentralized world so that you can do a fully anonymous transaction with someone you don't know. But in order for you to realize the cash, the fiat cash from that transaction, you must put it in a centralized place with a centralized authority. Now, in this case, the centralized authority in Turkey for the unfortunate $2 billion worth of consumers who lost their crypto was Thodex, a centralized exchange, and the central authority at Thodex was Farouk Ozer, who had the keys. So you took all your distributed currency and you put it in a place that wasn't distributed. It was centralized. You took all your decentralized crypto and centralized it for that moment in time, making it vulnerable. Oops. Now, this is the only way to do this right now if you want to exchange your cryptocurrency for fiat currency. There's a whole other world that is emerging. And it is the subject I want to cover now. And you can ask your questions about it. I'm happy to answer them. I am far from the world's foremost authority on this subject. I have been studying it for years, literally almost a decade. And I have been working with decentralized tokens since 2010, for all intents and purposes. So I have a lot of personal experience with it. There are people who are far more knowledgeable, but I want to talk about what I think is coming and what I think it means to you and everybody. There are several databases. Probably the most well-known is IPFS, the Interplanetary Galactic database. It's a peer-to-peer database. It's decentralized. It's a decentralized database. And IPFS has all the attributes that a distributed decentralized token would have. And then there are several different decentralized tools, they're called oracles, that are used to bind these things together. So if you've got a decentralized token, you have a decentralized oracle, you have a decentralized exchange, everything is untouchable. You can still hack anything, but taking 2 billion out of it and walking away because everything, you have the keys to everything, very unlikely. In order for a decentralized exchange to exchange your money with fiat currency, they'd need to be licensed by a government. But since no one runs them, I don't think that's going to happen. So what's the future of a decentralized exchange, a decentralized currency, when you put them together? If I have fully distributed currency and fully distributed or decentralized exchanges, if you can settle in the currency, in other words, if I accept Joey coin and you accept Joey coin and Charlie accepts Joey coin, and we're willing to consider it a store of economic value or an exchange currency, whether it's pegged to a stable currency like a stable coin would be or not, as long as we can settle in that currency and never need to exchange it for anything but itself, we're golden. Why were the people in Turkey trading in cryptocurrency? The answer is there's so much rampant inflation of the Turkish lira that crypto made sense to them. Will crypto make sense on a global scale or national scale? Will it make sense in a black market? Will it make sense in a subculture? Will it make sense in a world of creative arts? Like, will NFTs be able to be used that way? They're non-fungible tokens, but they have value that can be ascribed in a fungible token. And so will you pledge that asset class for the fungible asset class? And how will that work? These are questions we really need to ask ourselves. And if you take it a step further, in a Web 3.0 environment where there's a new way to think about authentication, identification, and all of it falls into the use of some version of a distributed ledger, of a blockchain. There's a brave new world. The way you think about the ID and the identity, just to get your mind going, is right now you go into a bar and the bouncer at the door asks for your ID. I mean, not me, but probably you. And they want to know that I'm over the age of 21. And an ID was issued that was only going to surface the information that was required by the inquiring party. You'd hit that ID and it would either glow green or glow red, because that's immutable, your birth date. Bouncer doesn't need to know how old you are. Simply, do you comply with the regulation that you need to be above 21 years of age to walk in the place? Totally different world. Totally different world. You log on to a website, you don't need to log on. It recognizes your wallet number. It understands you got some crypto. It knows that you've staked your willingness to be at this website with some crypto. So whatever damage you do, or however they want to, maybe it's their crypto you're staked in. It could be anything. A lot of different ways to change the way we do business. Now, Tom Herman is asking a really important question here. Cost of Bitcoin is unacceptable for sure, but Ethereum 2.0 proof of stake will solve this summer. Yeah, okay. So we are about to move, and that was what I really wanted to talk about next. We're about to move into a world of layer 2 solutions. And a layer 2 solution is an interesting solution. The layer 2 solutions happen. First of all, layer 1 is the main blockchain. So the Ethereum main blockchain is layer 1. Layer 2, duh. I mean, this isn't rocket science. Sits above layer 1. Things happen on layer 2, and then they're written to layer 1. They're written so you can get much more efficiency, because if you have a different, whether it's a proof of stake or proof of presence, or you have some other schema that will allow you to speed up transaction times, reduce transaction costs, which are known as gas prices or gas fees, then you're going to have a much easier world with lower friction for people to transact in. That's on layer 2. Ethereum's version of this keeps getting delayed. They're saying July now. Everybody thinks July or August. I think that's probably right. Cardano is another, the founder of Ethereum started this completely different, philosophically different distributed organization called Cardano. ADA, or ADA, I think it's ADA, is their currency. Cardano, you can't mine Cardano. Cardano, you need to put it in your wallet and you stake Cardano. It's a proof of stake environment. So no, it's not a layer 1 update, Tom Herman, not the way I understand it. The way it's a layer 2 that's going to write to the main blockchain. And if it is layer 1, a lot of people who are talking about it are seriously misunderstanding it. And I'd love to see the writing where it says it's going to, it's entirely possible they'll fork layer 1, the main Ethereum blockchain. There's a bunch of ways that people have been talking about it, and there's a lot of fighting going on because the miners aren't very happy about this. I want to say there's the main writing about it is 1553, I think, is the main writing about it. But I don't think their layer 2 solution is replacing layer 1. I think it's an add-on like all the other layer 2 solutions. But one way or the other, and by the way, I'll look that up and I could be wrong. It's entirely possible that I'm wrong. I think what's important is that the layer 2 solutions that are coming, the main feature set is that they are faster and cheaper and less damaging to the environment for those reasons. Proof of stake is going to get weird. The speculators are telling us that if you stake Ethereum layer 2, you'll be looking at 32 coins, 32 tokens. The 32 tokens right now would cost you $65,000, but that won't get you, I don't think, elected as a validator to mint a layer 2 block. I don't think it will. I think what's going to happen is you're going to get people putting up tens of millions of dollars, which is going to freeze a lot of ETHs and in staked claims. I need some financial geniuses to tell me whether that's going to make the price of Ether go up or down. If they lock up, if they're locking it up and it's hard to mine, it seems like supply and demand would make them go up. But I'm not sure what's going to happen to the layer 2 solutions, or what other currencies are going to, come and mess with the greatest, the best laid plans of mice and men. Elizabeth Turner, if we wanted to create NFTs for a film, how would we do this? If you wanted to create NFTs for a film, you can go to, first of all, run over to shellypalmer.com. And what you do there is you read the article that I put up there, Understanding the Ecosystem. It's Sunday's blog, so it's back a couple days, but you'll easily find it. I list at least a dozen places you can mint NFTs right now. I would test the water and get your sea legs together. I'm going to tell you flat out that if you're going to mint an NFT right now, or you're going to float a series of NFTs, this is it's actually more about marketing than it is about anything else. Be very careful about how you do this. Do your research. Test for sure, because you'll be unhappy with the results otherwise. Yeah, so you can go there and test. And then OpenSea is, I think, the largest of the marketplaces by far. But there's Mintable and Rareable and Foundation, and there's so many, really so many exchanges now, places and marketplaces where you can just make all that happen. So yeah, Elizabeth, that's where you go, and you'll definitely find a list of things that are good there. I saw a question about wallets a little bit ago. Same article, some wallets are there. I'm not going to tell you that I'm endorsing those wallets. I have all of those wallets. I'm not endorsing them. I use them all personally. That's why they're on the site. So, and they use them for different things. Do your research, do your homework, do your research, do your homework. Please, please, please do your research, do your homework. It's so important. This is the Wild West. It's worse than the Wild West. It's literally worse than the Wild West. I'm stunned by the charlatans and the cheaters and the liars and the hustlers. And it's terrifying. And there are really three camps, right? There's the group of people who are trying to figure out what this is going forward. There's a group of people who are trying to just jump on the hype cycle. And then a bunch of speculators. There's people that are treating this as if it's like an unregulated financial gambling casino, which it is. So God bless those people. I mean, if you can get it done, get it done. That wouldn't be how I would approach it, but a lot of people are. And it's alluring. Oh, I made a 3,000%, yesterday. I was like, what goes up must come down. Do your homework, do your research. Be careful here. This is not for the faint of heart. But do learn about layer 2. Do understand decentralization versus centralization. Start to look at what the exchanges are about and really get deep into the Web3 ideas, because I think that's what's next. I really feel like it's 1995 and we've got Gopher and we've got HTTP, and between Hypertext Transfer Protocol and Gopher, we're trying to make a decision, and who's going to make the right business model? Are any of these the business models that will survive? Mark Cuban says that Bitcoin's like gold and Ethereum is like, and Ether is like currency. Is he right? I don't know. Let's ask Mark. We're going to get him on the show. He's the cover quote of my first book. He's a great guy. He's really smart. Is he right? I don't know if he's right or if he's wrong. Anything you want to talk to me about, you can email me, Shelly@shellypalmer.com. I am completely happy to do my best to answer your questions. The crypto world, the NFT world, I've got on my desk 3 projects that are open right now, 1 in React, 2 in Python, that are just really Web3 solutions. We are doing everything we can to work with our clients to do the engineering, to think through the philosophy, to try and figure out what this brave new world is going to look like. It's super exciting, and I hope that you will get involved. Again, it's Shelly@shellypalmer.com. Should you be interested in reaching out, I'm totally happy to hear from you, and we'll do our best to answer. We do this every week, Wednesdays, at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern, here from New York. Please join us in our salons. If there's anything we can do for you, let us know. As I say each week, this is my favorite time of the week because I just get to talk to all of you and have all of you here. So thank you very much. And I am looking forward to seeing you next time. Take care and be very safe, and read that mask mandate stuff. Take care.